Hey everyone, Sparda 3G back here for another episode of Sparda World. I am your host, Sparda 3G. This is redundant, but whatever. Anyway, so there's been not much happening around the news of anime and the manga world, minus the fact that there's a lot of, like getting prepared for the next anime adaptations that's coming up in this April. It's Spring's Anime 2015. We have a lot of old returning ones such as Digimon Adventures Try, which seems to be taking place before the epilogue of season 2 of Digimon. So that should be exciting for a lot of people. If you're like one of those old pairing fans, I guess you might be a little disappointed to know that it's the same as before, unless something happened. But I don't really follow this much of a story, but I do think they are keeping the exact same storyline intact. So if you're one of those people that's just hoping for a retcon, it's not going to happen. Not much to say for the news wise. There's two worth things to say, and one of them is has to do with the Naruto novels. Um, you know, Needless to say, these novels aren't really that much of a necessary for you or anyone else to actually read upon it to get some more of the story of the entire manga series. It's more of a bonus edition of the characters among themselves, such as Kakashi, Shikamaru, Sakura, and so many more. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the Akatsuki thing, but supposedly they're supposed to go more of a backstory of the Katsuki that's already been there, like Deidara and Hidan and so on. I'm not really entirely sure. Anything is possible at this time. So the only two stories that's worth noting is that and the OnePunch-Man, which I will get to that later on. Now, concerning of the Naruto novels, as I said before, they're really not much of a necessary for anyone to read in order to understand the entire concept of the story. It only adds some of the flavors to the character themselves, not to the entire overall story. So it's not like you really need to read this because I know it's just a novel, and I know people would say like if it's on the manga, then it should be important. But in this case, in this case, it is true. It should be on the manga, then they would consider important. I mean, sometimes you could make a novel into a very necessary to the manga, especially like if it's like a big side story that actually develop, that actually showed the characters really thorough. But then again, they usually become a manga adaptation themselves, like a spin-off, kind of like how Attack on Titan got one for one character, or like well, I haven't read it to be honest, but Tokyo Ghoul has a spin-off with the past of Arima, but I don't think it's truly necessary. I mean, you could get some of it, but I don't think it's like a impactful moment that could make it say, "Wow, if you didn't read this, you miss out on a lot of things." There are stuff like that that does that way, and in this case, not this one because there the story is already ended. Make no mistake, the story ended, and in a way, I guess you could say Naruto is trying to make it into a giant universe of his own. Even though the story keeps saying it's Naruto because it's right there in the title, but they're trying to make it into a lore, a huge lore that it could be, spread out, and it's true that it can, though the story ended. Now it feels like something that's just there just to be marketable and something that a long time fan probably just continue to look over. Though a lot of people has moved on, and I believe they think it's the high level of Dragon Ball Z, or if you want to go like in the worldwide, let's say like Star Wars, it's nothing like that at all. I mean, they're trying to, but needless to say, it might not be as what they hoped to be. I mean, again, the movie did good. sales for in Japan, but it's not like a groundbreaking sale like some like Dragon Ball Z or even One Piece. Well, I mean, One Piece is a whole new level in terms of Japan compared to Naruto with the whole, the whole sales with the manga sales, the marking, the anime, and so forth. They're both are very different story case of scenario. So with Naruto in mind, they're trying to make it seem like a a new franchise that will continue on forever. Then rather than like it could go pause and maybe 10 years down the line they could make a movie, something like DBZ would do. It doesn't really have that strong of a factor. I mean, maybe in USA probably be it, but in a way, I think a lot of people has moved on, and it seems like Attack on Titan is really taking all the momentum from Naruto. Even though Naruto itself, the momentum was already lost because you see the sales has been going down in Japan. USA, well, they seem to be like they're more becoming of a Japan themselves, as in they start to see more variety. Like you got them talking about Attack on Titan. You got them talking about JoJo Bizarre Adventures. Back then, America only sees a very limited serialization from Japan, such as Naruto and a lot of Shonen Jump series. You know, a lot of people are still like that today in America, but at due time, it will start to expand, and the taste of the fans starts to spread out. It will start to see like other series that actually pique their interest, similar to the Japan, or maybe much, or it could be still different. I mean, One Piece is the main example, because One Piece in Japan is night and day compared to One Piece in America. America One Piece is the sale wise is not as impressive as Japan, nowhere near, because Japan loves One Piece. America, it depends how it happened. I think because of the anime started off with 4 kids, it makes them give the idea that it's just for kids. And then sometimes the nostalgia factor really helps them out. Like if you, the main best example is the Digimon. Digimon in America is like such a nostalgic factor, and Digimon in Japan is actually another series. In fact, there was a poll that they asked, I believe, over 2,000 people. Yes, it's not in the entire world, but they asked it's not the entire Japan, but just think about this. They asked over 2,000 people which anime they look forward to most. Digimon was number 14. It was placed number 14. Then one of the site decided to ask the exact same question, and Digimon ended up being in fourth place. But that's asking the American audience. So in other words, sometimes we're that picky in America to think of like, we like to go for something that we grew up with. Like, if Pokemon manga release, we're gonna buy that, and it's probably have more sales than One Piece because we're being nostalgic. It's the same thing for American movies, like comic book movies. Like if you see Captain America the very first time, I know that comic, so I'm gonna see that movie. I know that hero, so I'm gonna see that movie. It is being used for that factor, and Naruto has become one of those factors. Despite if the momentum has been lost, but it is becoming that way. So it's like nobody would like to move on, or nobody likes to drop it. But anyway, enough about that. We're going back to the novels. As you know, the novel Information has been released for the Sakura's one, which is coming out on April 3rd, as I've been told. So, when you look at the storyline, it's rather telling you why these novels aren't really necessary. I mean, they probably try to dive in more into the character, more or less, but it doesn't really change the overall factor of the series. In fact, some of them could actually make you upset, especially with Shikamaru novel. Now, I have not read the Shikamaru novel. I've read a lot for the Kakashi novel, and needless to say, they're not they're not like again they're not too important. You should not be that concerned. If you like Kakashi, if you want to read more about him, go be my guest. But it's not really that significant to the storyline. Again, the story has ended, and there's nothing really to explore to the world of the universe of his Naruto. And the thing about the novels, they actually try to they try to connect with the anime universe, which is like all the content such as the movies and the fillers, and they're trying to incorporate with that. And in my opinion, it's not such a good idea, especially if you're coming from a manga. It only tells you that this universe can be made at any way, and it's troubling because like a lot of people has already established that in the manga universe, in anime and manga, manga it should be canon because that's the original source, and it has its own universe, and it should not intertwine with the anime when they anime makes it into a filler. When they could make anything filler and they could try to connect, and at times they could actually mess up the storyline. So they could make more plot holes than they needed to have. And with the whole timeline, because let's face it, the timeline in Naruto is really confusing, and at times it just doesn't make any sense. But the point is, if you're trying to make anime incorporated with manga, you pretty much trying to tell everybody that manga is not really the main source. It's just it's just a part of it. It's confusing as it gets, but with the Shikamaru novel, they give you, they actually establish who is the legendary heroes, and this kind of pissed off a lot of people. Actually, it pissed off a lot of people, but a lot of people starts to don't give a crap anymore because a lot of people has moved on. The Kakashi was a curiosity sake because it was the first novel of this project of the whole timeline that's after the Naruto 699 chapter, and with that, and not to mention the Kakashi novel came out the exact same time as the final volume, volume 72 releases. So that means why not try to see what's up with it. Now with Shikamaru is more of a whatever's now, because again, it's all about the hype. When you make the hype, if you connect the hype level into the next product that you have, it will get everybody into it. It will get everybody intrigued by that item because it's all about the hype. That's in one way you could argue that the movie did well because the hype of the ending went to the hype to the movie as well. So it's like a one giant hype, and it just continue on. Because if you release the movie much later, it probably do good, but maybe not as good, or maybe not even a big first weekend opening, because it's all about like the hype level. It's all about the curious. It's all about what to know, what actually happened, and then it doesn't help if you got outside of Japan coming to Japan just to see the movie. It has happened before, so it is not new. It is not, it's not that surprising. There are hardcore fans, and it happens to anywhere. So, with this in mind, Shikamaru, it was not as loud because, the thing is, a lot of people has just said whatever, and whoever's the remaining factor of the series is just there to read it on. So with Kakashi, not much to say with Kakashi. It's just explore more. Apparently, Blood Prison movie is canon. I don't know. It is. I know Kishimoto has some of part of it as novels, but it doesn't make anything canon, or it doesn't make anything that much important. I mean, again, he could just input one thing, and that's Kakashi cannot do Chidori anymore, or Raikiri, sorry, and that'll be it. So what? It doesn't really add too much of anything, because because the final chapter really doesn't contribute anything. That just tells you, hey, look, he did all that, so it doesn't really matter at all, at least to me. Shikamaru doesn't have that many things. The only thing that is worth noting that's kind of It's not really canon. Again, not much of a thing is really canon, so take it with a grain of salt. But the one thing that people got so upset was the legendary heroes. If you, as you may all know, if you read Naruto, you all know Team Seven as a whole is the art or is the hero of the war. Even though people should not think that way, but this is Naruto, so whatever. But anyway, the point is the heroes were Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke. They left out Sakura. Why? Because I don't know. Maybe she's a woman. I mean, woman. Sorry. But then again, women doesn't get that treated well in this series. But the point is, I have no idea why they didn't do that. I have no idea why they didn't contribute her as it anything that was helpful. It's funny because Kakashi even said himself, I would have done it without these three heroes. So I guess we had to dismiss Sakura because I don't know. So now with Sakura novel in mind, well, again, it doesn't really add. It's not gonna add that many things. If anything, if you take it serious, you'd probably be a little bit furious with the concept of the story because, again, Sakura is all about love story, and needless to say, is with Sasuke. Now they preview a little bit here, and they pretty much establishing that Sasuke and Sakura has not met over 2 years. So it doesn't really help for anyone else. And the story is already made that somebody is about to invade Konoha, some darkness or something like that. So she's being, I don't know, I guess she's being challenged mentally. The funny thing is it's all about her. When it comes to bad reputation or hate or anything else, it all comes down to the fact that she's not really developed. She wasn't written well. She had potential. That's what makes it hard to like. That's what makes it hard for us to try to ignore this. She had potential. She had great potential because of the character background. That is being the most human possible being in that universe, and just imagine of her trying to fight back as just a normal person. It sounds interesting because a lot of people are supernatural, minus very very few. Rock Lee is one among them. Though when you really think about it, knowing that Kishimoto never really thought of Chuni's exam, it gives you the idea, the reason why the side character wasn't established was established as a recurring character, because they're like, this is why side characters never get that much development in part two, is because they were just there to I don't know, to be there for the fans' sake, but they have no future developments in terms of Kishimoto's planning, because these characters were literally made on the spot in the tuning exam. So it's not like, I want to make this one character. I want to make this character to get a spotlight. I want him to learn from this tournament and stuff like that. I mean, you could argue with Team 10, very very little, but Shikamaru did get the most development out of every side characters. But I'm just saying, the point is that these side characters couldn't have developed much more, but they all took a long break, and eventually, all the way to the war arc, that's when they actually get development for once, because it is the end, so why not just show more of them? This is why a lot of characters in the past didn't get any spotlight, because these characters weren't really planned out at all. So it makes some sense to that. Now with this story, with these novels, you got Sakura talking about love, but I guess it's being conveyed with the whole darkness is coming back to the village. I'm not sure who, but who really cares? And again, they show the timeline of her remembering the words: call her annoying, call her annoying, call her annoying, thank her, call her, tell her that this ain't her sin, this is only his. Say bye bye, and there she go, and that's where Sasuke goes and never return. well, he's gonna return somehow. After all, you know the ending. But point is, this doesn't help her at all. They want Sakura. The fans want Sakura to flesh out more. It's the promising starts with part two beginning, and I guess you could say that promising ends around the second arc of the part two. Nothing wrong with like displaying emotion and drama, but there was no much of it. There was not much of her going on, and everything else is all Densmore in distress. It's like just too many of them, way too many. In fact, all the women's are got almost all women got that scenario with the whole Densmore in distress. But this I still don't know why they push off the release date. It's anyone's guess, but point is, this is not gonna be anything worth noting, and if you do take it to the serious level, you're only going to end up in a very disappointing state, because they really have nothing to contribute to the main story or even the characters themselves. Very minor to the characters. Some of them are becoming contradicting, like like Shikamaru and soon to be Sakura. I guess it depends how they're gonna work out in here. It's strange. I didn't read all of a Shikamaru novel, but it has been said it's right before the last. If that's the case, why Naruto was being told to hang out with Hinata when that moment has not happened yet? The whole love between them. I don't know. It's confusing. Maybe there's a lot of plot holes in the novels themselves. Who knows? Who really cares? And it's weird when it comes to the design of Sakura novel. In the covers, her design is basically coming off from the chapter cover. In other words, the art style is different from. It has a different art style. If you look at the chapter covers, I forgot which one. It was around in the Search for Itachi arc. The one with Team 7 with the different art. That's the one that not Kakashi. Why I keep saying Kakashi? Kishimoto has been using in chapter covers when displaying a different art style. And so case in point, Sakura got that art style and the front cover, which is kind of funny because when you look, because this novel is before Naruto and Hinata gets married. So you look at the movie ending, and you look at Sakura there. She doesn't look like all women. Like she doesn't look. In fact, she still looked like the last with just looking like the last. Yeah, I don't know. The consistency is really out of place. So it doesn't match up with the art style. Not the art style. It doesn't match up the imagery of a character. Mainly for Sakura. Sakura looks like she's a woman, like a woman with lipsticks and all the other stuff that makes her prettier. Which funny because Kishimoto has said that Sakura, all he did was to draw her very pretty. Like I'm not sure that's his real definition of development, but whatever it is, it didn't work for the fans because obviously he changed his mind. He dropped her completely and just only line up with Sasuke. So I have no idea what's going on. But again, this is just a novel. You should not take it to the heart. And I'm just warning you now because there's another one in May with Konoha. Now, I was hoping it was going to be something more about characteristic with Rock Lee, Ten. Yes, they even Ten, and so on. But it could still do it, but the story concept is rather laughable because the story concept is Kakashi has ordered everybody in Konoha to get ready for the wedding for Naruto and Hinata. So therefore, they should get themselves gifts. So they get ready to get gifts for Naruto. And basically the main storyline is what is the gift each of these characters are going to give to Naruto. Like Rock Lee is thinking one. Apparently Sakura and Ino are in duel with cooking. I don't know. It's just, again, it almost feels like, is this a filler? Again, novels aren't really made to make it a huge contribution to the main story. It's just fillers in the end when you think about it. I mean, you probably get some, like some a little hint of, oh, look, that's how they get killed. But I think Shikamaru's story doesn't really show how they got together with Tamari. It's just another scenario of Tamari and Shikamaru. But now, like, well, that's why we're married today, because I did this and that and that and that and that, and then we are engaged. But instead, it's just show you another piece of a story. And I know from what I heard, the ending shows Shikamaru with his child and stuff like that. But it's just as much as the fillers as it could get. That's what I'm saying. There is nothing really add more to it. It's rather funny that one of the novels, I believe it is Shikamaru, has just added a recap of the manga story, which I don't understand why you should do that, but whatever's. So with that in mind, again, you're going to have that storyline of Shikamaru. No, I'm sorry, the Konoha getting the gifts, wedding gifts. I have no idea what's that's accomplished. I mean, if you really want to have fun with it, be my guest. But to me, these novels mean nothing, you know. And if you still get them, read them, fine. But again, don't think it's gonna be a huge contribution to the main story. Don't think it's gonna do a lot of favors to the characters themselves. It's just another filler without visuals. Now, we're talking about OnePunch-Man getting an anime adaptation, and it's great to know that they're getting MadHouse. MadHouse is doing OnePunch-Man, and a lot of people already sign of relief. And I wouldn't mind if it was Sunrise. It almost sounded like it was going to be Sunrise to adapt OnePunch-Man. They're doing a great job with Gitama or Jitama. I'm not good at pronouncing, but Madhouse is a great exception too, because they did Hunter x Hunter. The first Hunter x Hunter was good, but the 2011 edition just nailed it. It delivered greatly, and it's become one of the best still ongoing series if Tagashi ever continues Hunter x Hunter, but due time. But it is one of the best, and Madhouse doing OnePunch-Man is such a sign of relief. And they're already finishing up with, I think they finished up with Parasite, which I again already told rave reviews for the series, and Madhouse is such a great series. A great studio. They did Hajime no Ippo, which I thought it was excellent, and I haven't read the manga, but I know that. But the anime is such a great, entertaining sports, and I highly recommend to see that, the old one and the new one, the new Challengers and the new Rising and stuff like that. But they did a great job, and it surprises me how much they could, how many episodes they can do, and how much they could use their budget to the limit. And they did Death Note. They made Death Note incredibly popular because of the anime did such a great job. I mean, you could say you could still hate the series, because of the manga, especially the ending. You could hate it, you could love it. The point is that Madhouse did a great job on the anime adaptation. And I know there was I think an episode I think there's an episode that did the entire volume, but it felt like it flowed well done. So I'm happy that he's getting Madhouse and already, and I have not read OnePunch-Man, but I have been told is one of the best series. It is greatly written, it is hilarious, and overall it's just great. So I'm going to read that for the next week episode, and I'm really looking forward to it. I like what I see from the Tumblr pages. I like what I see from the I even like what I see from the Madhouse anime announcement. It looks great. I like that character. That I don't know. I think he has robotic arms. I'm not really sure, but I like it. I'm ready. I'm impressed. That's how good it is so far. And the art styles in the manga, it looks great too. And I also heard stories about like once upon a time it was a I believe a web comic, or like it's a comic strip. It was just like it has like a the drawing, it seems so so basic, but the story, from what I told, the story was well written, and it's hilarious. It's great. So they made it into a manga, and the guy redraw the entire thing, and it looks great. It looks so well detailed, and now it's becoming an anime. It has a great story behind it. It has a great story for that guy who just drew a web comic, and then all of a sudden it became so popular that it goes to show you art isn't everything. It has the story behind it to make it so popular. So to hear about the anime being adapted by MadHouse is already promising, and the fact that manga is still going on is already, it's a bless. I'm looking forward to reading that. And for next week, I will give you my overall impression. And it goes to show you also that the anime studio, it really means a lot of things to me, because look, I I could be picky about the anime studio, and I could be picky about like the overall experience, but they do mean a lot, especially when it comes to handling the budgets and handling the storyline. Now, I have not watched Tokyo Ghoul anime, but I have been told every time by many other people that the series, the anime, is such a letdown. It is such a disappointing series. The fact that they try to make, I think, 65 chapters in 12 episodes is laughable. It is laughable. You can't do that. You're pretty much telling me the anime is like a. But okay, I'm not sure if you guys play Mass Effect, but you ever try to play Mass Effect without talking to your comrades, without going side mission, and go straight to the main mission? And not only you're gonna skip a lot of good stuff, not only you're gonna skip a lot of the character developments, not only you're gonna skip a lot of story, well, you get story development, but not only that, but you actually get the understanding of the universe. But so if you skip all that and you just get the game, not only is the game's gonna be very short, like 9 hours for an RPG, right? And not only is gonna be very short, but you're gonna miss out the good stuff. Same thing with Skyrim, or any Bethesda game. You got Elder Scroll. Elder Scroll games, the main mission are short, but the side mission are incredibly long, but they all so well done. And despite to say, it feels like if you play for story and skip a lot of things, you're not gonna understand why the game is so popular or why the game is so great. So case in point, Tokyo Ghoul, I have not seen it, but I have been told they skip a lot of things, a lot of moments, a lot of developments, and that irks me in many ways, because it just tells you that it's going to be a very light experience. It's going to be something that everybody would think, well, Tokyo Ghoul seems like a basic series. That's not true, because there's a lot of more in depth into them. I mean, you get the understanding with Naruto, because it's fully fleshed out, the entire manga content, and they added them own spice, and But with Tokyo Ghoul, you've been limited to 12 episodes, and you try to put all 65 chapters. It just won't work. A lot of chapters, there's a lot of talking, a lot of interactions, a lot of inside of this universe, like such as the CCG investigators, the whole Intaku shop, like the whole characters, like introductions, everything. It means a lot. So just knowing them, skipping all of them is just crazy. So it really hurts the manga in a way. I mean, you could say it's a double edge, because anime, if the anime puts a lot of energy to it, if they put a lot of heart to it, then the manga sales can increase greatly, because they would know like, oh wow, this is how it works. Oh, that's the universe. The anime was so awesome. I want to read a manga to continue. I don't want to wait for the next season. I want to watch. I want to read it now. Stuff like that. It helps a lot to do that. Look at Attack on Titan, the best example, because the anime was so well produced. Everybody wanted to buy the manga series, and it went to a million sale. It's a million seller now, because back then it wasn't a million seller. It was just 200,000, 300,000, at most 400,000. And then because of the anime, not only the production was over the top, but it was just, it gives you the idea of the universe. It gives you everything that the manga has offered. I mean, they skip us some stuff, but mainly they still managed to capitalize its peak, its theme, and its what's that word I'm looking for? I said peak. Basically, it capitalized its main. Wow, I can't find the word. But basically, what I'm saying is, it does its job of showing this series, showing off everything about this series, the Titans, the survivals, the fear, the battles, everything about it. It did it. It delivered. So with Tokyo Ghoul, the only thing it delivers is the curiosity if the series is really worth picking up. Now, that's what it did, and for all I know, maybe it would have generated over 1 million copies in first week or second week. Who knows? But now it's just it's doing good. It's popular, and thankfully it's not mainstream popular as in like everybody knows it. It's another Naruto, stuff like that. Time to mess it up. I'm glad it's not that. I just think it could have been much more. And speaking of production, that's another thing. Tokyo Ghoul production, from what I was told, the animation isn't all that great. In fact, it's probably a very, very disappointing aspect of it, next to the story and handling its characters. So, it's honestly speaking, this should have been MadHouse. It has MadHouse written all over Tokyo Ghoul's face. It has everything what MadHouse would love to do: the gore, the blood, the darkness. The darkness, the dark nature of this theme, everything. It seems MadHouse. It has MadHouse written all over it. It's been a while they have been doing something like that since Death Note. So doing with Tokyo Ghoul is a blessing to them. Now, I've been told that Tokyo Ghoul is already reaching to its end, and Tokyo Ghoul Re is still going on, and it's still in the early stage. So therefore, perhaps we will get a reboot. Hunter x Hunter got a reboot, and it did a fantastic job after the first series, the first anime adaptation. So with the second one, it's going to be even better, And with Tokyo Ghoul already has a lot of disappointing aspect. So if you give someone else if you give MadHouse or anyone else, Bones would be great too. But if you give it to them, and if they do what they did in the anime, the manga, then we got a hit. It could be a huge gap of difference of terms of anime ratings and everything else about it. The people would be like, wow, this is the series? This is the real deal? I should have read this a long time ago. It will get everybody talking rather than like misleading. Look what happened to One Piece in America. Everybody thinks that, not everybody, but back then everybody thinks One Piece is just a cartoon show, like a shows for age 7 and under. And if you watch it, be my guest. But the point is, you get the idea. It's just a kids show. It's just for toddlers and stuff like that. It's not like it's going to be like something teenager or even like a seinen. I'm not saying it's a seinen, but it's not. But my point is, you gotta deliver. You gotta show them what you're trying to convey. When you're trying to show what what makes it great or what makes it, popular today, and only before the anime makes it double the popularity. But you know, in due time, maybe it would get better. I mean, not better. It would get a reboot because it's already ending. So there's a lot of difference in the anime world. And from what I was told, Ishida did not like season one, so he came there to do season two and pretty much changed a lot of things in order to make it ending and don't have a sequel in mind. So in other words, they trying to end. He's trying to end the anime adaptation, and if he gets a reboot, then everything will work itself out. I think it's Full Metal Alchemist pretty much. Full Metal Alchemist got a reboot. Now, even though the first series was actually pretty good, Brotherhood destroyed it. So, you know, that that we could only hope for Tokyo Ghoul or any anime in that case, because a lot of anime has their own ending and it's trying not to make it into a more into the surface of the manga. So, I can only hope for the best. Now, with One Punch Man is in a bright future with MadHouse taken care of. They could fail. You never know. Anything is possible. But it seems like MadHouse. It seems like they're gonna use the one of the bigger, better team of MadHouse, like the one that did Hunter x Hunter, I believe, which they did a great job. So, you know, with this in mind, we can only hope it's gonna boom into a credible effect to the One Punch Man. And I'm really happy for One Punch Man to get this reputation it deserved. So we off to Tokyo Ghoul Read Chapter 21. And I gotta say, this chapter was pretty damn good. There's so many actions, so many turn of events, and especially the very end where, oh boy, talk about one way to start off with a bang for the next chapter. But there's a lot of interesting development as well within this chapter, what makes it so pretty good. And I'm actually very interested to see what's the next follow up. Mainly to the after this whole battle crisis, because this battle is going out of control in a good way, no less. Because you got a lot of situation in one place after another, and some of them are done, mainly like Suzuya and Ayato battle. It seemed like they're finally retreating back to their place, and Suzuya has to go back to what he promised Sasaki, as well as Ayato has to protect the madam, and I guess he's going back to where they have to do. Maybe they could end up going back to the same place. Well, not exact same place, but they're going back to each other. But who knows? Right now, you got stuff that's development for some characters. You got some developments for the situation that's going on. And you get the more of a hint of this of a character such as Musuki. It's been said that he probably was the one that killed his family, which is crazy. And I didn't even think that would be the case of scenario. I was thinking more of a, something like a tragic event that the tragedy of like the family getting killed by a ghoul or something like that. But it has been said that he's the one that killed his family, which is mind-boggling. And I actually wanted to know what exactly happened down there. Now, maybe I could be wrong, but it is interesting to know about that. And that, I guess you could say that's something to look forward to the later on events. Now, again, we're still continuing with the battle, and we start to see more of the period, the clown group of ghouls. And we start off with Roma, and she's as creepy as ever. And boy, I still hate her ever since the last series. With the whole her being innocent like in the shop, and then when you at the very end, she's all like, "Oh, I want to see more of Kaneki because I love to see how he suffers. I love the depression. It makes me feel good." She's such an despicable person. So in this chapter, it makes it more hateful, but it gives you the idea, how strong these parents can be, especially with her. Like, she has a very strong kaguya. So that's something alarming. And again, she's creepy as ever. And the interesting part is at the very end of the battle, which Uta has interfered, and yes, he is meeting Hirako. So it's kind of interesting to see this client, this is face to face, because if you recall, Hirako was part of the group, was in a situation where he annihilated a lot of period back in the much back than the first series. So I'm not sure they're gonna actually reference to that moment, but it is pretty interesting that they actually come to face once again. So I don't know. Maybe they will actually drop more hints about like that event, or that grudge from Uta and the other remaining Period groups. So interesting development right there. I'm not sure, we're gonna get more of that. I think we're just gonna get good action, and hopefully we could get more in depth of Kagane of Uta, because if you recall, he never used it in the first series, since he made a very weak excuse of why not using it, but obviously it becomes a factor that obviously he was always shady, and he was never really um part of the whole good guys team, I guess you could say. So it makes sense. I'm not sure we're gonna see it, but in due time, maybe we will, maybe we won't. Uh, I guess you could say it's gonna be a teaser until that real moment finally happens. Now with Naki and Akira battle, it seems like Akira really got much stronger with that with those those weapons, especially the Kui, the one that was like that whole, the one that her father uses. And back then it used to be like, if you shoot it, if you strike it, it will go straight, and if it goes straight, it will never make another turn. So basically you gotta make it happen again if you retrieve it back. Now she can control it so easily. I guess after 2 years, it makes it such an easy. It makes everything easy for her. So now that's alarming. She is pretty skillful, and there's a reason why she is that high ranked now. So Naki got his ass kicked, and then the entire group started to come by and try to kill off Naki. And interesting development for Naki. It seems like he has been told that he's been living in the past, which is actually true, because you see his character. He's always about talking about his brother, his big bro Jason. Ever since he's dead, it's like his life becomes very meaningless. But because of him staying in the past, you're not gonna go anywhere. So Naki is always relying on the past, and it's everything for him. But now his life is about to end until the brothers came by and take the bullet, and it seems like they probably are dead. I think they really are dead. So now it's more and more of the past is leaving him behind. So I don't know, like, will he ever move on, or he would just go crazy and just die staying with that mind of set of mind. It's interesting. I'm surprised they going more further in depth with Naki, and I can only hope like the next event for him, it will be something interesting and make him more of a character. And so far, for a crazy character, he's sure getting developments than I expected. So yeah, I'm actually going to focus on this more further down the line. It's good to know about that. As already mentioned, Suzuya and Ayato's retreat. I guess you could say Suzuya would have lost if he actually stood by fighting Ayato. Really kind of hard to say, but you could say it that way, because Ayato is a legit threat, and he is pretty strong. So I guess we won't see, and you could kind of guess they skipped the battle in order to show I guess you could say foreshadow that Ayato is so strong that he could do this and that. So I guess that's why they didn't show it on screen of much of his power. So I guess you gotta wait further down the line. Now, the one interesting part of the chapter I like is how they how they pretty much established they're not talking. They pretty much established that there's gonna be people. It's gonna be like guys like Aima being such a top tier, and because of he's such a top tier, such a godlike person, there's no need for like people, no more investigators, no more fighters. There's no need for them. But in reality, everybody can be strong, and sometimes some people are gifted by the gods. Sometimes there could be, sometimes they could be trained more heavily than the others. But in the end, a lot of people still can be useful, and I like this aspect of the Tokyo Ghouls universe. Get that whole experience. It's all about the experience. Day by day, you will actually become capable of fighting alongside with the team, fighting against the ghouls, your enemies, and not be such a useless guy. It's not about that. It's always just about experience. It's all about how even an ordinary person can do such a great thing. I mean, again, he seems like a gifted person, but the capability and experience, just slowly but surely you'll just be good. So I like that aspect. I like they didn't try to acknowledge that everybody who's just get gifted by gods, everybody who's like animal tiers, they would just be, they're the only one useful guys. Everybody else would be just a fodder, fodders, stuff like that. So I like that aspect. Then we get to the final part where, oh boy, Takizawa, so far he's already a deranged guy, and oh boy, so it didn't waste no time from the last chapter. Last chapter, he was there at the very end, hungry for human flesh. Now he's here already. So it's a good thing they didn't try to kill too much time. Give us the idea like, okay, when he's gonna show up, because it's obvious he's gonna show up. So very next chapter, here he is. Now, how much this whole thing is gonna change? Well, we'll find out very soon. Especially the fact that he's a one eye. He's been experimented. He's been experimented for like over years and years. I don't know how much different he is. He's already looked crazy. So this leaves me very anticipated for the next chapter for many reasons. The whole Masuki being infiltrated by the Kanai and the torso ghoul. Then you got the whole where Suzuya is gonna meet up, where Ayato's going to, where Sasaki's gonna, if Sasaki's gonna meet Masui just in time or not. It's a lot of anticipation, and it doesn't feel like a lot of things is too misleading, or a lot of things are already out of focus. It's actually in focus, and it's actually understanding to read, and it's like a lot of aspect of it is interesting to look forward to. So, needless to say, pretty good chapter. And I can't wait for the next chapter to see how much Takuzawa changed from his last season. The last series is already mind-boggling that this is the same guy who was like, kind of had a comedy characteristic, the whole comic relief aspect of him, and now he's such a, I don't know, a wacko, I guess, for the lack of better words. So I'm very interested to see the next chapter. On to One Piece. Yes, One Piece has a chapter this week, and it is a pretty good one because with the events with Law and the events of the battle that finally begun with Don Flamingo and Luffy. And it is pretty damn exciting so far. And I can only hope the next chapter will be, probably more in depth of Law and Luffy, because it seems like it ended with that kind of cliffhanger. Something about Law probably try to talk to Luffy with one last one last bidding, but maybe it'd be someone else, because the way I know Law isn't dead. I'm pretty sure he isn't dead, but boy, he took a hell of a beating. First of all, his arm got ripped off, as you all remember from the couple of chapters back. Well, actually, pretty while ago now. It's just a lot of chapters back then was more focused on the team of Don Flamingo being taken out by Straw Hat Crew, which were good for the most part. So in this case, we're seeing a flashback since Law was already taken down by Don Flamingo, and we see what happens between them talking to each other. You know, talking about like he came this far for what, and he despised everything that law represented, especially the fact that he actually has a Corazon on the back of the shirt, which I didn't even notice until now. So I forgot about it, or maybe we all didn't know about it. I'm not sure. So yeah, that was probably my fault there. And he pretty much tell them that Straw Hat Pirates are the group that make miracle happen, and he stick a middle finger right in front of Don Flamingo. So yeah, Law is going down with a bang, and pretty much Don Flamingo hates it, and he just shot him down. And he see that shirt that represent the Corazon, his very old great friend of his back in the past, and he just shot that shirt down too. So it's just so many suffocation with this guy. If you're a fan of him, it hurts to see him getting shot down by this guy, and the fact that Don Flamingo is such a terrible person is already all the more the merrier to make this whole battle mean a lot more than just rescue the people or just stopping this whole thing. You just want to see this guy get his ass kicked now. I mean, I'm at that level already, so I'm really liking this anticipation between Luffy and Don Flamingo. I just want to see his ass getting kicked now. So so Luffy finally comes up, and pretty much it got back to the chapter. Pretty much it got back from the last chapter, because again it started off with a flashback of Don Flamingo and Flaw. So now we got Luffy again going against Don Flamingo, and so far it's already starting off with a bang. It somewhat seemed one-sided so far, but then again, this is like the early on that we get to see more of Don Flamingo ability. So it's just getting it has promises. It has a lot of promise to be one of the better fights and one of the most captivating climactic turn of event. So I'm really looking forward to more of this. And again, at the very end of the chapter, it seems like there's gonna be a talk from Flaw to Luffy. That's why I believe so. So I mean, again, Don Flamingo said he's dead, but in One Piece universe, sometimes saying that it's not believable enough. I mean, you could say that for a lot of series too, but in this case, I do believe he's still alive. I don't think he's dead. I'll be surprised he dies completely, to be honest, because One Piece has that tendency to skip death. But then again, Ace happened, Whitebeard happened. They managed to kill them off, which still can't believe, to be honest with you. I know Sabo is supposed to be like your replacement for Ace, but still, it does drive the characters such as Luffy into this peak, and obviously, it did display a lot of character development for him. So, still, But with Law, I don't know if he's truly gonna die or he's just gonna live, but he won't be in the battle because obviously he got shot too many times. His arm is off. I mean, come on. It's just too much now. So, I'm not sure that is him talking to him, but I think it is him. So, in due time, the next chapter should be pretty explosive, whether it be a lot of talking or be it just a lot of battling. Luffy's already pissed off the chain, so... And it's just two bad guys. There's two bad guys to deal with still. But Don Flamingo is the main target, so it's going to be a hell of a chapter, hell of an event in the upcoming releases. So yeah, this chapter was damn good. I can't wait for the next one, and I hope it delivers overall. So we're on to the Bleach chapter 620, and at first I thought it was not much of a chapter, but it ends up being a decent chapter. And it's kind of funny how it ended, because of the whole right arm being, I wouldn't say useless, it's being taken advantage now by Yauch. And it seems like, well, I think we made it worse, or we made it no much difference. But the overall chapter was decent. I didn't mind too much of the beginning. I mean, I guess you could say they stalling more, and I guess you could say this whole event between Yauch and Ichigo was more of a, hey, let's have a confrontation for one moment, and then I will be blown away, or we will run away, or you will run away, and when the time comes, we will finally battle it out as like a boss battle and all that good stuff. So pretty much, you could say, since the other Soul Society group that hasn't joined in yet. I guess you could say this is how it goes. This is more of a, let's cool down for a moment and just wait until everybody shows up, and then the real battle begins. Especially when the other Quincy has appeared and pretty much took out Ichigo and his friends out of the way. So beginning, you have Ishida and Ichigo dueling out each other in talking conversation with the entire, like, while you're working with these guys, they're the bad guys, why you're doing this and that, and it all comes down because he's a Quincy. I'm not sure, there's probably more to it, but who knows. So that's all there to it, and just basically all it does is just having, why you're doing this from Ichigo. Why now, why Ishida, why will you do this to us? So it's more of that, and then again, it just results in being Quincy, and he would do whatever it takes for his, I guess, is for his brethrens. So, that's what he's fighting for, and I guess maybe down the line we will see Ichigo versus Quincy, Ishida. I'm sorry. So, in a way, at least that'll be a good anticipation for that battle. If they do battle each other first before Ichigo fights Yaoch, because it seems clear that Yaoch is just keep getting stronger, and Yaoch is just much above level than Ichigo. So in due time, I guess. I'm not sure how they're gonna make it into an equal battle unless Ichigo get a power up, a random power up out of the spite. Because you got, this is because he's been doing that at times, so won't be surprising. And not much to say. I mean, well, for Bleach out there's actually more events than ever. Again, they conversate, they had a conversation. Ishida is pretty much very loyal to his own people. Ichigo and his friend fell off the cliff. Then Yaosh took over the right arm power, and now it becomes his, I believe. And now he's gonna take everything that belongs to the king, to the Soul King, and it become his. So now everything starts to shake up. Soul Society is feeling the impact. So if you ask me, I guess you could say this is the end of the first confrontation, and now the more to it is going to happen. The real battle is going to begin much later on, because now it seems clear that Ichigo and the others are going to wait for the Soul Society people to show up, and then I think we're going to have our groups, and then I guess you could say we're going to have our own battle, our battle lineup. So again, it's a decent chapter. I ain't mind too much. It's pretty eventful. I guess I'm just waiting I guess I'm just waiting for the whole Soul Society meet up with Ichigo, and then a lot of battle up coming up. It may take a lot of time, and it probably gives the idea, boy, this series is not going to end this year, is it? Because a lot of dragging out stuff. But again, it seems interesting to see what's going to come up next, and not bad, not a bad chapter. Not much to say. I'm done with it. So on to Fairy Tail, chapter 424, and this was an interesting chapter, and it's funny because the last review I was speaking, I was saying that, well, I think this is gonna take a very slow turn of the series, because we're just getting everybody back together, and it's like a recruitment arc, in fact. Because it takes its time to get to the main story. It takes its time to get to the real deal of the series. So in this case, it seems like we're probably actually gonna get the real deal of this story, because it's not gonna be like, well, one place has this problem, so now we're gonna fight these guys, and then we solve it, and then we go to the next level, and we find these guys, and then we fight them, and then we have a new recruit. Stuff like that. Stuff like you get from a lot of series, to be honest with you. But in here, it seems like we're finally getting our, I guess you could say, the main villain of the arc. So I hope they're not just a pushover. But anyway, then we got to go to the chapter. So we see Natsu and the others meeting up Juvia in a raining village, and yeah, she's still crazy as ever with terms of Gray. So that's how she is. What can you do? So we got more explanation, more I guess you could say more of a story of 1 year later journey. With in fact, she actually did hang out with Gray for the past half the year, which in a way is kind of shocking to be honest, because I thought Juvia was separated from Gray ever since the whole demon situation, the whole his father situation. I thought they were going separate ways, but I guess they actually stick together and actually literally live alone together in that one village that I guess is abandoned. So with rain all day, or maybe it's just something else. But anyway, the point is they were actually just there. They were actually hanging out together. They train together. They work together. They eat together. They almost slept together. It was. I must admit, I actually caught on. I was like, wait a minute, what? So I was like, wow. I guess they got there. But for something like that kind of relationship, they sure did progress. They showed progress a lot for themselves. So good for them, I guess you could say. And it seems like, yeah, for the guys who love this pairing, we'll get a good kick out of this. That is until Gray starts to use that demon power more and more into the packet. It seems like it's going to control him more and more. Now, I don't know if that's truly the case, but we'll get to that part soon. So we have Natsu telling Juvia that he will get him back, and as a good guy he is, he will do it, and he will promise doing that. So now the interesting aspect, I didn't forget completely, but it brought to my mind like much later on that Natsu is going to Sabretooth because the Sabretooth Guild, because this actually reminisced the whole talk that he had with that guy back in 2 arcs ago, or 3 arcs ago, if you really want to count that small arc before the Totoro's arc. The one with the guy, I forgot his name already. Is a fusion of Rogue and Sting. I guess you could say future Rogue. So when he told him that one of his friend, that cat, is gonna get killed. We don't know who's gonna get killed by, but he's gonna get killed in a year later. So unfortunately, it has been a year later. Gray has a demon power, so in a way, you could actually guess that this could be the guy. That Gray is the one that kills that cat, which I forgot the name already. But the thing with this is actually interesting to actually remember that moment, and it's actually interesting that Hiro, the mangaka of the series, he actually brought this idea back up. So it seems like it was not a waste. It seems like it was just random spite. The only thing we get the idea is that the future, everybody got killed off, and Fairy Tail Guild is pretty much in a wasteland. So here we're actually gonna go to that part of the story. So they're going to Sabretooth, and they're kind of interested to see how this gonna works out. I guess they're gonna use the Sabretooth Guild to actually fight these main villains, because again, all the Fairy Tail members has not been recruited. You only got Wendy, Lucy, and that's it. I'm of course I'm excluding the cast, but the point is I'm talking about the fighters, and yeah, they've been excluded. They've been still missing. No Urza, no Urza. Gray's a bad guy, I think, and which we go to that now. There's a new guild, or rather a guild that's probably be there, but who knows? It's called Avatar, not the Avatar from the series, not the Avatar of the movie, the 3D one, or even the bad one, but this Avatar guild. They all working for Zeref, and pretty much so is Gray. Now, there's two things you can see from this scenario. Gray is either consumed by evil that he's doing that the darkness is doing at his will, in terms of doing dark deeds, and pretty much join the guild for the dark side, or Gray is join the guild on his whim, on his own will, because this is the only way to get close to Zeref. Because maybe Gray is so confident to to use the demon power so well that he could actually take on Zeref and the end. Even though the end is right there, and that end is named Natsu, but he doesn't know that. So so if he's doing this just to hide and try to infiltrate to Zeref much closer and much sooner, then I guess maybe they won't fight each other, Natsu and Gray, unless Gray is truly consumed by darkness. And then he's really, then we're gonna see Gray versus Natsu. I will admit, I kind of wish Gray and Natsu would fight each other in the same term in terms of good guy and a good guy. And the only way you could have Gray to fight Natsu would be the fact that Gray would learn that Natsu is the end. And if he's the end, of course, Gray is gonna be very, very, very strong will to take him out, even if it's his best friend rivals. He would just do it because this is what his father wished for, or more like this is what he wished for, to avenge his dad. So overall, it's an interesting chapter. It seems like we won't get pushover after pushovers in terms of bad guys. So that's good to know. I want to see how this works. I'm assuming Sabretooth is going to be more involved, because it seems like this probably be their group up, their team for the time being, because we only have Wendy, Lucy, and Natsu. So maybe he will ask for Sting, Rogue. It'd be interesting to see the other characters, how they develop for a year later, like Miranda even. So overall, interesting chapter. Got some comedy in there, especially that innuendo sex comedy, I guess you could say. But yeah, so good chapter. So this brings us to Seven Deadly Sins. I finally catch up. It took a while. It took me, like perhaps 2 weeks. It's not a lot of chapters. It's up to 118 chapters, and they're kind of fast to read too, as well as it's a weekly series, so. For me, I just took a while because I went through the sickness for last week. Actually, this week. It's Saturday still. So I went through the sickness, and it kind of messed up my concentration on reading mangas, watching anime, and so forth. So it postponed me to catch up on time. Though like I was trying to catch up like around Monday, and all that sickness drive me crazy, and I just couldn't read and concentrate what I'm seeing, what I'm reading. So anyway, it doesn't matter. What mattered is I've caught up, and suffice to say, it's actually a pretty good series. I mean, it's not too special, but I can see why a lot of people are starting to pick up this series, and of course, the anime does help. And I already spoke about it, a few part of it, especially in like the whole concept of what they do. The only thing that caught me a little bit off guard in a way. I mean, I understand. I should have known earlier. I understand that in a way this is a story more of a Seven Deadly Sins, more so than like mixture with that and Princess Elizabeth. But it's kind of funny that the whole storyline of getting the Seven Deadly Sins to go again to save the kingdom from the Holy Knights. That's done. It's done already. That's the funny part. It felt like I got the wrong story synopsis and stuff like that, but maybe, in a way they could still manage to get that kind of storyline. It just won't be the Holy Knights anymore. It will be more so with the other story, with the other characters, which in this case it would be the demon clans. Now I have to say, it is a pretty fun to read. Characters are like they're fun to they're fun. There's a lot of different characteristics. Some good humor. There's some parts that could drive you a bit crazy. First of all, they already established this story is all about like explosion. Well, not explosion, but not all about it. But the concept of the battle is gonna be like explosive. It's like DBZ tiers, only with knights and like the other kinds. If anything, this reminds me of like an RPG. You got the knights, you got like mages, you got the goddesses, stuff like that. It actually has that tip of that flavor that I think this could be the reason why a lot of people actually like this series, because it has that RPG elements. It has that that fantasy life, that whole kingdom, the whole knights, the realm, and everything like that. The demons, and I guess that's why maybe Japan really started to like the series more and more. Even the anime itself, the anime I believe is about to end, and they're gonna resume later on, of course, to get more material. Which in a way they have more material to deal with later on with the whole invasion. Unless I miss out something, but then again I haven't seen the anime, so you know it to me, I see that Japan finally picked this up more and more because of the concept and the whole the whole action seems like a whole explosive with like over the top limit. There's there's like a lot of elements that just seems very crazy over the top, that you thought it would be starting off slow, or you thought it would be have like some nice realm. But like I said, the first chapter gives you the idea it's gonna be explosive. It's gonna be over the top. Like you got one guy just throw an arrow from deep, and the guy managed to catch it, and then he just throw it back, right back at him, and he destroy a castle or so. So there you go. You just be aware. There's a lot of craziness. It's like similar to like how One Piece is in terms of like the venture style. It's not really trying to. It's not trying to be too thoughtful in terms of battle, but it's not a bad thing because it's actually pretty fun to see how like how much can it go, how far can it go, and like the actions that these sins has. For example, Bond has the immortality, so he could pretty much tank anything, and he would get stabbed, he would get hurt and everything, but he won't die, so he just go with it. Or you have King, he's the fairy king, and he's pretty powerful, and he's more like he's like over 1,000 years old, I believe, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of different type of elements, and then you got Diane, who's a giant, and her strength level is incredible, especially when they actually have you could say a radar, not a radar, but like those sensor thing that how Dragon Ball Z has that for like the infamous over 9,000 scene. So they have that now, but with the eyes, and it's a part of the earrings for Hawk to wear on, and he pretty much just go around and see the power level of each character. So yeah, you get the idea. It has that DBZ sense in more ways than one. So, but again, it's a pretty fun series. It's the story is interesting. If what the one strange thing is, it just feel like it ended. But I guess you could say they're trying to establish a new threat, which they already have with the demons, because we have the team called the Ten Commandments. So yeah, you still get like a lot of reference to the Bible, stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting to see how this is gonna go down. One thing you should note that some of the element in there in terms of like more so like a twist. It's rather it could be a little bit frustrating for some people, because you got moments like like a twist that just seems to always be on par. It usually be on the good guy's side, like all of a sudden like this guy who is like a bad guy is a good guy, and they try to explain it. It explained well enough. However, it happened right after that twist, so it seems like there was no foreshadow, or there was no real plan. The only tiny hint you got was that prison scene with him and his love interest in the prison, in a cell, and it just come off like a random spike. I mean, a lot of people seems to actually felt a little bit frustrated with that scene. At first, this is one big twist around 108 that seems to be like seems to be like out of nowhere, but at the same time, it does make it interesting, except for like some elements. At first, you would think that the villains would always be the same until after that chapter, we get more villains, we get a new concept and a new threat and a new a new interest to the series. So, but it does give you the sense that the series might not last that long. It might be a short run. Like it won't be like over 400 chapters. It'll probably be like maybe much less, like much less, unless they're gonna find a way to have like a super demon, something like that. But who knows at this time? Right now, they're finally getting the real deal because when you read this series, you'll find out that the Holy Knights aren't all that great in compared to the Seven Deadly Sins. In fact, Seven Deadly Sins are pretty broken or overpowering in this case. So they're just like way too over the top. And luckily it is still early in the series. I know it's over 100 chapters, but it's still kind of early for this kind. So if you don't like how they easily overpower everybody and it just run down every single knights and other characters, then you have to give it a time. Though chapter 60 and up, that's where the interest really begins, because under that it's like a lot of recruiting and a lot of different aspect of a quest, which is not bad and it's good. It got they got some good parts and so on. But like if you really want to see how the series could go, how where the series can really show you, like in terms of battling and in terms of the climatic and the fights, that's chapter 60 and up will do it justice for you. So overall, I do believe that you will have a good time with this. Just be aware of one thing: Melidus, the main character, the protagonist of the series, he's a open pervert, and he will do stuff like up the skirt and all that other stuff to Elizabeth. So you gotta be aware of that kind of guy, and he does this often. I mean, not too much, but he does it often. So you gotta be aware of that. And the worst part is for female audience, Elizabeth just takes it. That part will kind of might frustrate you to see her just like take it and just like, oh, please stop it and that'll be it, and nothing more than that. And there's nothing like fighting back, or there's not like a threat coming back from her. She's just easygoing, I guess you could say. The main character, he's not bad. He's not that great. He's good. He's good. He's a good main character. I think the interest of him starts to grow now because of the demon clan has arrived, and he I guess you could say he's a demon himself as well. So a little more interest is coming by from him. So if you don't like the main character, I'm sure the other sins are actually capable to fill in that blank, because the other sins are actually interesting and they're actually fun to watch them to do and watch them go. And a lot of them aren't explored much yet because they're actually more to them, and they actually get their development further down the line, like especially like their backstory. Like King, right now it just ended, but I'm not sure how much further we go right now with the King. Going back to this his forest, which a lot of fairies are against him, but a lot of changes happen, and you should just read it out. I'm going to review the chapters next week. So in this case, I'm just only telling you what my overall impression. I like what I read. It's fun. It's a fun read. It has a fun concept and everything else. Characters are good. Main character is good, but I think it could go more further than that, and hopefully there will be more, further down the line of development, and something that's put him down the line of struggling and regrets, because it has a lot of hints of that already. Elizabeth is not bad. I kind of wish she was more had more personality than to her, but the only interesting concept was at the end of the arc, we find out she's the goddess, and she has the goddess power, and she healed everybody. Which, by the way, this is another element that One Piece also has, is there's no deaths. So that's something you have to be aware of that. And I mean, I'm not saying you need to have a death in order to make it good, but sometimes there's a lot of cop out or a lot of BS moments. So again, this has that the elements of RPG. So I'm hoping down the line. Right now, it's just building up for the next arc, which will be dealing with the Ten Commandments or maybe something else. I find it funny that the problems that Arthur was having, King Arthur was having, has been settled very quickly. So the power stuff, the power stuff is over the top. They're fun. It's like Dragon Ball Z in some form of way. So just be prepared for a lot of crazy wackiness. But other than that, it is pretty fun to read, and I recommend to give it a try. You see for yourself and see if you really enjoy the whole concept and the stories and characters and whatnot. So definitely give it a try. So that brings us to My Hero Academy or My Hero Academia or something like that. Not sure what's the real English translation, but point is, this is a new series that came out around the time where Naruto was ending, if not it ended at the exact same time. So I decided to pick up the series because a lot of interest has been peaking from the Japanese audience as well as even American audience to the point that they started to serialize in America and already. And it's funny to say that this manga is only at 34 chapters. It felt like it was already 2 years running. Like I was expected to be in 100 or at least almost at the 100 peak. So I was like, oh wow, I caught up pretty quick. So I didn't know it was that new still. I mean, I don't know. It felt like it was there for a while. So a lot of people started to pick up the series because I'm assuming two things. One, is that this series came out where Naruto was already ending, so it's like you got to get a new series down the line. But I think that's a little too easy to credit for because that means that means any different qualities of a series come out right after the big popular series ending, that means it would just be good or it would just get popular because it pick up at the right time. Sometimes timing is important, but you need, in my opinion, you need to have a good quality in order to live up to your potential, which this series does have potentials, and it still shows a lot of potential. Which brings me to the second point is, this series, the concept is actually pretty good because you got the entire hero story where it's like reading The Incredibles in some form or way. Mixture with Sky High. I know that's like a teenager film, and I know it's like kind of underrated in a way. I'm only mentioning this because the concept is similar, and that movie has the movie's about kids, teenagers wanted to become superheroes, and they started to become heroes by going through schools. So in this case, this is the same thing. The academy. There's an academy for these newborn heroes to start training, start getting to know the villains, start to get to know the concept, the trademarks, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what My Hero Academy is pretty much doing. And I'm only mentioning Incredibles because there's so many heroes around the world, and they actually are known to the people rather than like something mysterious. Like you get some Dark Knight, it's nothing like that. It'd probably be one of them, but the point is, there's not one hero. There's gonna be a lot of heroes. So it's pretty interesting concept, and at this time, there's a good amount of potential this series can take. So the story goes with Izuku Midoriya, sorry, and basically he's a kid that really want to become a hero, and he is fascinated by this hero concept because that's just how he was raised in a way. Not raised by his parents, but he's just always so interested to see the heroes doing some fightings. And he's always wanted to be a hero himself. And his favorite idolized person is All Might. And even though All Might is well known to the world, he always he always fantasized himself to be a hero. He want to be like All Might. He just want to be a hero. Now, that being said, a lot of people can be heroes as well because, the story goes is that they have this they just have, I don't know, they didn't explain that much thoroughly, but it just, let's just say a paranormal happened, and then all of a sudden when it happens, it starts to spread out more and more and more. It began with a birth of a one baby that just got a paranormal activity, something that just down the line passed down to the other generation, the newer generation with powers, and eventually a lot of people will have superpowers. So this is not like so like I said, this is like Sky High, where there's gonna be a lot of heroes, a lot of a lot of born heroes, and Izuka Media. I can't say his name. Sorry, Izuka Midoriya. He wants to be a hero, and he was hoping, since his generation came around the time where a lot of superheroes, where a lot of newborn heroes are coming out. Unfortunately for him, he didn't get any powers in his birth, and they powers in here. At first, I think they had a different name. They call it in inheritance or something like that, but this is the translation. It's not his fault, because this is a very new, this is still a new series in some form of way, and it's not that popular yet, though Japan is really catching on this series. It seems like this is something they like to read, and it's something that piqued their interest with the concept of superheroes. And the series itself is good. It has the potential to be much more soon, and it's starting to get to that moment. But back to this introduction. The introduction again is he doesn't have a power. He wasn't born with any power, and it's unfortunate for him, because he's one kid that he really, really wants to be a hero. So because of that, he gets bullied all day of his life by other guys, mainly his own classmate, which is this rowdy, crazy guy, Kasuki Bakugo, or as he calls him, nickname Kachan. And he has the power of explosive, and for some reason he always picks on Izuku, which, by the way, he nicknamed him Deku. So this he always get pick on him badly, and even destroy his notes, because I don't know, I guess he was just a big of a hole, right? So his character hasn't explored that much yet. You just get the idea he wants to be number one. So in due time, we get to know more and more of each of the different characters. But for the protagonist, like I said, he wants to be a hero, and he was so hype up. He was like all ready up to be a hero, but then he gets told that he can never be a hero because he didn't born with quirk. That's the power name, quirk, and because of that, he would never see his dream. And as time goes on, he becomes a coward. And at least they actually give a legitimate point of being a coward rather than just be a coward just single-handedly. You could tell he was going to be all hyped up for being a hero, and you could tell he would have been a brave guy. But unfortunately, because of his birth, he only has, he's just a human guy. He's just a human boy that just wants to have superpower in order to be a hero. But unfortunately, the only thing he can do is watch the heroes, already established superheroes, do their things and just keep dreaming, which is unfortunate to say. So I find this part actually the first chapter is actually pretty good in terms of showing the characteristic of the protagonist. And again, luckily, it's not too much of a similarity to the usual concept from the other Shonen Jump Weekly. I mean, yeah, you still have the a kid that's being bullied and stuff like that. The whole thing with the kid being scared and whatnot, stuff like that. But the upside to this, the upside to this, the protagonist, is that he's a fast learner, and I do mean that because the more chapters goes by, you get to see him transforming as a stronger person. And thanks to All Might, which is a very popular superhero because he is a symbol of peace and he's just that strong. And he, when in the early on, All Might told him that he cannot be a superhero because he has no quirk. But then, because of the events that happened to Kachan, he was attacked by the slime guy, and nobody was there to save him. And by the way, I do like how they made the entire people such a jerk by not letting the superhero to save him. He just saw they went, so basically they were like seeing a villain, and they're just like, okay, I want to see what hero gonna take him on. It's actually kind of messed up to see it that way. I was like, wow, they really doing this? That's sucks. So, it has potential to actually explore more of that characteristic, the whole style of this universe. I do find it potentially, I do find it. I find it to be hopefully just maybe explore more. The only reason why I keep saying potential is because right now is in the beginning phase of the school learning and all that stuff. And I know the series is called My Hero Academia, but maybe because of the introduction of the villains, the maybe down the line we're gonna get more superhero task, more of a the usual shonen that you all come to know. So it could be more fun, and it could be much exciting. I mean, right now it's pretty good. At the moment it's in a potential being shown moments, as in that the begin as in in throughout the whole story of this, the only potential you get to see more is from All Might when he coming down to meet the villains, and he go against these villains. And it was pretty much like one of your first time seeing the villain versus a hero one on one, and it has a good potential to be an exciting time. Now there are some exciting moments, especially the fact that Izuku, or we should call him Deku, because he actually wanted to call himself Deku ever since I believe they introduced Heroine Ukaku Kukaka, something like that. She her ability is gravity. She cannot do gravity control on herself, but she could do gravity control on anything else, which kind of has some interesting concepts down the line. But with Deku, the interesting part is that he's a smart guy. He know all the basics, all the concepts of the heroes, how they work and everything. So it actually comes to the good disadvantage for him, which I think that's something different from the usual shonen, like I'm an idiot, or I'm a total klutz, or I'm this and that. Like, it's also interesting that they point out his difference between the early days and the newer days, within the same school and everything. Like, for example, in the school he gets told, like, I'm gonna kick your ass, and he gets scared and stuff like that. But then when it's like a little tournament, he's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. He just thought of it like, all right, cool. I want to do the same to you. So it's interesting how he does transform, and it seems like it almost feels like we're still in a prologue stage. I'm not really sure if that's really the where they're trying to head to, because with All Might, which I had to mention, how does the Izuku or Deku gets interesting, or how he gets a power? Well, here's the thing: All Might. A lot of people will assume that a lot of people are birth given superpower. All Might, he's literally given by someone. So in other words, he could actually pass down to another person. They call it all for one, all for one. So in this case, he gave because of Deku encouragement from that one villain that nobody wants to help, because, well, that's just how it works, where nobody wants to help. And by the way, All Might is limited because he was attacked by a villain 5 years ago that really did a huge damage, to the point that he has a time limit to use a superpower, and not to mention he cough out blood if he goes further than that. So they not everyone is super, and because of the all for one power can be given, he give it to Deku, and Deku, inherited that power. So I guess there is no demon inside, the usual shonen concept, unless they might do that with all for one, but with due time. But the thing is, he cannot use that power greatly at the time, because he is not only he's just new to it, but it's just that the fact that if he does it, it will break it will break whatever parts that he uses it on. Like for example, if he does a punch with all for one power, his arm, his hand will be breaking and all bruised up. So in other words, it's like a one-time attack before he injures himself out, which is not a good thing to do. So, again, it has a lot of interesting concept and it has an interesting scenarios that right now we're in the school stage. And yeah, I know the series is called with Academy in there. I don't. It could be much more than that, and it kind of has a potential if it doesn't dies out, which it doesn't have which it doesn't seem to show it's gonna die out. Because again, a lot of this Japan is really picking up this series further and further, and like I said, the concept is interesting with the whole school, the whole superhero, the whole, and right now we're up to the where they could showcase where the shonen can really show, and that is a one-on-one battle. Because in this throughout the series, you only got like tactics or a scenario such as you gotta disarm the bomb, take out the bomb from a villain. How will you do it? What will you do with you and your partner? It's cool they're going slowly and exploring the entire hero concept. They even have like a villain branch where they like one villain is ranked it's a low below, it's a rank 0, but that only means because they are traps, and they mainly are traps. Then you got ranks like normal henchmen, and then you got like a bigger villain who's like a big honcho who could just take you on, and you probably had to work as a team with others in order to take that out. It's very exploration into the whole hero story. So I like this. Right now we're slowly and surely getting the whole one-on-one concept, see how that works, if there's any actions that works the way how shonen works. So again, it's only due time, and because of the villains are introduced, we're gonna probably end up seeing more and more of them, and it seems like all might end up either retire or get killed off because his time is finally coming to the end. Especially his time limit has been decreased a lot because of all the scenarios that keep popping up for him. So, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. The arts itself is simple. It has its moments. It's interesting when the villain comes. The art design is actually pretty well drawn, and it seems like he could do a different series entirely and with a different entire art style. I know a lot of mangaka could do that, but what he could do, he could really make it seem very more than just a simple shonen. He could actually make it into a very 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 detailed turn of event. And there's a lot of moments like that too, with like a good shadings and the arts. The arts is more of a comedy. It has a little bit more sense of a comedy art, as in like when it's because this series has some good sense of humor, and they do reference to like one guy just reference to like the actual pop culture moments like Super Mario Brothers or even Rambo, stuff like that. But it's not that often, so I guess you could say this world is supposed to be something that we are in, but with superheroes timeline. Not like how a lot of series is just a world of its own. It's not gonna acknowledge like, oh, I know this is Gundam, stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's 34 chapters. Will I recommend it? I say give it a shot. Give it a try. It may come off childish at first, but down the line, you actually get to see why the series could be really, really good. And so far, it's started to show that it could actually have a fun, interesting battle system in there. So, I'm going to start reviewing chapters next week. And hopefully you pick it up, and when you catch up, you follow me in my reviews. But if you don't like it, then that's okay. It's not for everyone. But if you like the hero concept, if you like some good comedy sense of humor, if you like the simple yet fun drawing style, then give it a try. And that would do it for today's episode. I have been thinking about like making 2 episode per week, but not at this time. I'm not gonna do it right now. I am thinking about it, but I'm not gonna do it at this time. I'm only thinking about it because I feel like there's a lot of things to cover up, and there's a lot of series to talk about. Granted, I am reading and watching more series, even though I'm not bringing it up in the podcast. It's just I'm just trying to get used to this feel of recording podcasts. I'm trying to get the right equipment. I'm trying to get the right mood set in me. I'm still working on it. Everybody's still new. This is only the 3rd episode. So, I'm trying to get a new mic because this mic is a little bit static and probably a little bit low tone. It's not even a mic made for like recording podcasts. It's more of a gaming headset. That's the funny thing. It actually works though. I give it that, but I do want a mic with like a control condenser and with the whole recording thing. I'm trying to get some advice from people. I'm trying to get some tips and anything to improve. So just tell me what should I do with it. What manga and anime I should follow. Just let me know, because I'm still new. Everything doesn't not everything starts perfect. Not everything starts great. It's just slow. It's just something that you just have to get used to as time goes on. And I'm hoping I'm doing okay enough for you guys, and I hope you do continue to follow me and support. So thank you for listening to my latest reviews and news, and hopefully by next week you probably hear a different sound recording and something I probably get used to, recording my thoughts and reviews. So hopefully I'll get used to this whole concept. And as for reviews for like animes and whatnot, I'm gonna start writing some of the reviews online and publish them. But not right now. But like, I'm gonna start doing those very soon enough. Some of the reviews you're not gonna get it from here. You're gonna get it from like a website. Unfortunately, because of the YouTube has become a little too strict, or anything else, for that matter. It's gonna be hard to try to put the content into reviews, in the video reviews and whatnot. But right now, I'm trying to work on getting the mic, the right perfect mic for to you guys to hear me clearly, and then rather than something that's like always like buffers and stuff like that. I need something that makes sure that the quality is up top notch as much as possible. So in due times, I'm still new to this, and I hope I could continue on, and hopefully guys could continue to support me. So, it's only a matter of time, I guess. Anyway, I'm done here for today. Thank you for supporting me. Keep spreading the words, and hopefully I get more subscribers, and hopefully a lot of people start to take an interest in me, in my reviews, more mainly of that. And you guys made it happen, because you guys really like my reviews in the Tumblr page or the forum page. And I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I should go back to reviewing, and here I am now. So I do appreciate that greatly. You have no idea.